For instance, if I wanted to hide something, if I wanted to make a little hidden sequence, and maybe I only want like one person to be able to read it, like I could tell my wife, and I could basically refer to something that's an inside joke between the two of us. She would know it and how to decipher it, and it would basically be impossible for anybody else to decipher. Whatever the secret is, and whoever needs to know it, it needs to be broad enough that others can uncover it, right? Rodrigo, you know the kind of question to ask me, don't you? You're making a temple of secrets. How do I give the feeling of discovering something very old that like your players weren't supposed to see, maybe? How to give that feeling? Secrets. So dead languages are great. You could get away with that by having runes or symbols that can be translated. Show them a bunch of them, have them see a bunch of them before they have any hope of translating them. And they should mean things that matter. And then maybe they find a couple of dead bodies somewhere and they loot them because of course they will, and they find that somebody has some notes. Somebody was trying to translate them. Turns out they'd figured some stuff out, and so now they have a starting point to translate the rest. It could basically give you instructions about how to navigate the temple. It could give you instructions about how to manipulate the temple. I've always really liked this idea of a trap. I've never successfully run this, by the way, but I really like the idea of a trap dungeon that you move through. That people are chasing you, and as you that you're dealing with some other force that's also moving through to apprehend you or something like that. But because you've learned about the place, you can now manipulate the traps to your benefit. Now you can move rooms around and send in the constructs and the animated statues. Like you can trigger all of that against your enemy. I've always thought that would be a really neat idea. But outside of something like that, the way to I think the way to make the secret feel earned is to sort of, first of all, you need to think of a secret that's worth keeping. Secrets about, oh, there's a trap ahead. It's like, okay, that's probably not worth hiding very well. But a secret about the real treasure room that's hidden, 2 levels down and behind what appears to be a treasure room, but it's really a fake treasure room, that might be worth defending with your life. But if you have to carve it somewhere, if you have to inscribe that message somewhere, you're probably going to hide it in a way that is significant only to you and the people who would read it. And that's always a fun question to ponder, right? Because to hide something well, you have to really understand who's hiding it and why they would want to hide it. For instance, if I wanted to hide something, if I wanted to make a little hidden sequence, and maybe I only want like one person to be able to read it, like I could tell my wife, and I could basically refer to something that's an inside joke between the two of us. She would know it and how to decipher it, and it would basically be impossible for anybody else to decipher. So whatever the secret is, and whoever needs to know it, it needs to be broad enough that others can uncover it, right? So perhaps in this temple of secrets, it's like messaging that the temple guard used to use, and so everybody who was in service of whoever built this temple, the lich or the whatever, they all needed to know, but they didn't want anybody else to be able to know. So what would they use? What information would they use to disguise that? Maybe it's a language, maybe it's a set of symbols that only they know. Maybe the key to unlocking to decoding it is the lich's true name, which only those who have fought the lich and defeated it will know. Yeah, that's I think that's kind of where I would start. Another thing to think about as you're working this out is try to think of the things in media, in stories that make this seem fun for you. because it is fun, first of all, but like, is it, Indiana Jones? Are there mystery novels? Perhaps like, it's like, oh, I really, watching the stuff get uncovered in like Sherlock or like Knives Out or any other sort of like mystery story, like the puzzles in Uncharted or something, like whatever the thing is that is inspiring you. I would just like list those things out and then even just kind of like study them a little bit. So recently I wrote up a chase sequence for my island game that I'm running. And I wanted the chase sequence to feel very cinematic. So we actually looked at and broke down the Casino Royale opening like parkour chase scene, which is totally ridiculous, but also has a lot of really like they squeeze every ounce of like cinematic action they can. Every little moment is stretched out, and they found the way to make it interesting, which was good inspiration for building out that chase sequence in my game. So it might be worth doing the same sort of study for something like uncovering secrets. What does it mean? Feel like? How do people go about it? Stuff like that. Yeah, it was the Casino Royale and then the chase sequence from Heavy Rain, which is best watched with, because it's just a button prompt thing. But if you watch one of the clips where he misses everything, that's pretty entertaining. Just the worst detective, the worst detective ever. Music is pretty important. If the music is bad, I can't get very far. So I think these two reactions are interesting. And I know how I would want to use them, and this is where it'd be really helpful, because in the context of the Patreon, I can pair a document like this with me running it, right? Me sort of demonstrating how I would, even if it's just a little video showing different way, how to run each of these 6 monsters. The way that I would use these two, so tunnel away. If the growth is hit with a melee attack, it may use its reaction to tunnel to a new location up to 30 feet away. Second, split and grow. If the hulking growth, let's say if the growth is hit 3 times in one round, it must use its reaction to split into. One half stays put, and the other tunnels to a new location up to 30 feet away. Each growth gets its own spot in initiative, though they share HP. So forget 3 strikes doing a lot of damage. 3 strikes is literally going to cut this thing's HP in half. But if you think about how this plays out, then it doesn't have a reaction anymore. Shoot. How would I do that? Because what I wanted to achieve, get excited, it's coming. Rodrigo, like, I can't put a date on it. As soon as I finish some of these things, but soon, very, very soon.